Okay, we are live.
Okay, we are in the middle of the parshios that are all jam-packed. We know every parsha here, Yetzias Mitzrayim, Kriyas Yamsuf, Kabbalas HaTorah. Don't get better than these parshios, and gives us the opportunity to talk about the following topic. We know that memory and forgetfulness are both part of the human condition, and we will not be able to live without either of them. If we would remember everything, and we would have the same feeling, at the moment that we marry off a child, or on the opposite, at a patira, if that feeling would stay with us forever, we wouldn't be able to function. It's Baruch Hashem, forgetting is a bracha, but also remembering is a bracha, right? We have to be able to remember things. You have to remember where we parked. You have to remember if we took our medicine. We have to remember. So remembering is a bracha. So both memory and forgetting are both brachas that Kadosh Baruch Hu gives us. But there are some things that Chazal and sometimes even the Torah tells us you need to remember this. You can't forget this. This is too crucial and defining and definitional to who a Jew is. Then you can't forget it. So sometimes midrabanan, you have it there in source number 1, Erev Tafshilin, remembering to cook before Yantif for Shabbos, or Sukkah Daf Mem Aleph, the concept of Zeichel HaMikdash, to remember the Beis HaMikdash. But there are 6 events, so to speak, that you have to remember. You can't forget these 6 events. And we are generally Ashkenazim here, I think. Sephardim have 10 Zechiros, but Ashkenazim have 6 Zechiros, and you have it there in source number 3. There's 6 Zechiros that we are meant to remember. What are they? Just to list them: Zechiras Yetzias Mitzrayim, number 1. Number 2, Maimed Har Sinai. Number 3, Zechiras Amalek. Number 4, what the art scroll calls Zachar Tishkach, don't forget that you made Hashem angry in the desert. That's Chet Egel. Number 5, Zachar Tishkach Asal Miriam, what Hashem did to Miriam, the end of Baloscha, and finally, but whether one has that minhag or not, these seem to be definitional and crucial. And our job over the next few moments is to figure out, what is it about these 6 that are defining? Is it about these 6 that Hashem wants us to remember? And remember, we should remember to remember. Remember that Rev Soloveitchik notes, and many others note, that even though we're familiar only on Pesach night with the concept of Chayav Adam Leros Atzmo, Ki'ilu Hu Yatsa Mitzrayim, right? That we have to feel as if we went out, not just to remember Yetzias Mitzrayim, but to feel as if, really, that's all memory in Judaism, right? Shavuos, we have to feel as if Kabbalas HaTorah. And Sukkot, we have to feel God's presence it around us. So all the time we have to have what he calls experiential. So we're going to really, there's 3. There's
Rabbi, I think we're having
3 pairs. Recording now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So hopefully we will see this through the Sheikh's that there aren't just 6, but there's really 3. 6 become 3 pairs. And then the 3 hopefully will become 1. That is our job over the next little while. We'll try to contain it, condense it a little bit to be able to get through everything. So let's see what the Sheikh's are about. And we're within. Last week was Yetzias Mitzrayim, and coming up is Kabbalas HaTorah and Maimed Har Sinai, and in a few weeks we'll be start thinking about Purim. So there's a lot on our plate. So let's try to get through some of the Zechiras. So let's start with Amalek. So what is the message of Zechiras Amalek? What's the message? So the Torah tells us in the end of Kiseitze Asher Karcha Baderech, right? Remember Amalek, because Amalek was Karcha you. So out of all the chumras that we have relating to Amalek, we have everybody goes to try to hear the Torah in your own nusach and have in mind the kabrachas. The biggest chumrah, which isn't really a chumrah, you have to know what the words mean. So asher karcha baderech, that's a tough word. Rashi gives 3 pshatim. What does asher karcha mean? Rashi number 1, lashon mikra. Mikra means coincidence. Amalek happened to be traveling in the desert. This week's parsha. Amalek is this week's parsha. And then it again, this pasuk is from the Kiseitse, but it's the 2 parshas of Amalek. Mikra, coincidence, he happened to meet you and attack you in the desert. Number 1. Number 2, davar acher lashon keri v'tumah. Asher karcha, he impurified you. From a lashon of keri. Asher karcha baderech. Number 3, davar acher lashon kor v'chom. Karcha, he cooled you off. Sinencha ve'efshircha miritichascha. He made you lukewarm from your boiling state. All the nations of the world, they don't want to start up with us. We went out of Mitzrayim, right. We Az Yashir, right, we say it in Az Yashir that all the nations of the world were scared. They don't want. We were boiling with emunah. And what did Amalek do? They came and they attacked us. And Rashi gives the mashal ambati rosachat. It's like a boiling hot bathtub. Nobody could go in. It's boiling hot. One person goes in, he burns himself, but he cools it off for the rest of the chevra. So 3 pshatim Rashi gives. Asher karcha, what did Amalek do? Number 1, mikra, coincidence. Number 2, keri, impurity. Number 3 is kar, he cooled us off. Say some of the Bali Musar. I gave it to you from Rav Sternbach in Shuvos Vahanagos. All 3 pshatim are really one idea. One idea. Amalek is the nation that does not believe in Hashgacha. Amalek thinks everything is mikra. Everything is coincidental. I just made the bus, I just missed the bus. I just made the train, I missed the train. It's all coincidence. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was not involved in every detail of my life. And that's the source of impurity, lashon keri, mitaman, right? With tuma, when we think that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was not involved in the details of my life, that's an impure hashkafa. And he cooled off emunah in the world. The whole world believed in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The whole world recognized the makas and everything. Nah, there was a strong wind that day. There was food poisoning in Egypt. All the ways that could be explained. Even the name Amalek, if you think of the word Amalek, I heard this years ago, it's an ayin mem, who could take the most exciting events, the top of the lamed, the tallest letter of the aleph beis, and schlep it down to the bottom of the kuf. It's an lamed kuf, an that takes something so exciting and just ruins it. That's Amalek, and many know that Amalek is gematria suffix, gematria doubt. That's the power of Amalek. The power of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not involved, and of course Purim. Haman was all about Pur, a lottery. My son just came in soaking wet. Baruch Hashem, it's raining in Israel. Baruch Hashem. Okay. Remember, you want to say a little Asaf? Remember Asaf from the Hananya just walked in. Okay, we're just 10 seconds. Hi, okay, good. Okay, Amalek is the that anti-hashgacha, the one that does not believe, right? You see in source number 7. She'ikr tumas Amalek asher karcha, sha'akol mikra. Even after the greatest miracles in Yetzias Mitzrayim, they came and they said, Akol Sheker, Akol Mikra. And Rashi quotes at the end of this week's Parsha that this belief is not going to be totally obliterated until Mashiach comes. And that's why there's a missing letter at the end of our Parsha. Ki yad al case cut. It doesn't say kisei. It says case. Because that is not going to be completed until everyone in the world believes and sees HaKadosh Baruch Hu clearly, bechvodo uva'atzma. But this is all Amalek. And this is, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, even we call the holiday of defeating Amalek Purim. Purim. What kind of name is that for a holiday? The lottery, the go-roll. That's an appropriate, because that captures what Amalek is about. It's about lottery. When are we going to when are we going to kill the Jews? And so that's Haman's hashkafa. And that's Zechiras Amalek. We remember that we overcame that, and we believe not like Amalek. We believe in full hashgach. What is the pair that goes with Amalek? Zechiras Amalek. Let's move on to Zechiras Yitzias Mitzrayim. Maybe we've mentioned this somewhat in some of the other shiurim. I don't remember, but it's something to review. Maybe we should review it every day and night of our life when we have the mitzvah of Zechiras Yitzias Mitzrayim. There is a Ramban in source number 11, the Ramban at the end of Parshas Bo. I like to call it not even top 10 Ramban, probably top 5 Ramban, right, in the Torah at the end of last week's Parsha. And that's where, if you remember, the Ramban talks about Vata Omer Lecha Klal B'tam Mitzvos Rabos. Why are there so many mitzvos that are Zecher Yitzias Mitzrayim? How many mitzvos are there to remember the Torah, Kabbalas Torah? 1 or 2. How many mitzvahs are there to remember the Anon HaKavod? 1. How many mitzvahs to remember the walls of Yericho falling down? 0. Right? How many? Like Yitzias Mitzrayim, about 15. It's not even close. Right? Yitzias Mitzrayim. You have all the Chagim and Matzah and Maror and Tefillin and Mezuzah and Pidyon Haben and Petach Hamor and Bechor Behema Tahora. Everything. Shabbos. That's a good question. How Shabbos is Zecher Yitzias Mitzrayim? Topic of a separate shir. But Shabbos is Zecher Ma'aseh Bereishis. But so why are there so many mitzvahs that are Zecher Yitzias Mitzrayim? Says the Ramban, source 11. Let me explain. Hinei mehayos avodas galilim ba'olam. From the time that there has been avodah zara in the world, mimei enosh heichelu hadeos l'shtabesh be'emuna. There have been different types of heretical views in history. Different types of kofrim. Mehem kofrim be'ikr v'omrim ki olam kadmon. Some deny everything. There's no God. There was never a creator. Nothing. Kachshu Hashem v'yomer lohu. Okay, that's one group. Umehem, and others say, no, of course not. No, there has to be a God. Most of the world today believes in a God. There has to be a God. I mean, the Rambam writes in Moreh Nevuchim, the greatest raya to a God is the human eye. Says, what, the human eye just happened? There was like an explosion, and all the lenses and the reflection and the refraction and the cornea, and how it's like mind-boggling. Right? Like that just happened? There's no creator? Obviously. So obviously there's a bow ray. But these kofrim say, but he's a busy God. He's like, doesn't know what's going on anymore. He went away. So some say there was no creator. Some say there was a creator, but he's not around anymore. Umayhem, middle of the third line, sheyodu biyadia umachishim bashkacha. But some say, no, he was a creator, he is a creator, he knows what's going on, but he's not omnipotent. He can't do whatever he wants. Says the Ramban, how in one moment could HaKadosh Baruch Hu undermine all of those heretical beliefs in a second by performing a miracle? Because when HaKadosh Baruch Hu performs a miracle, and even better if it's broadcast beforehand by a Navi, the second that Hashem does that, there was a creator, there is a creator who knows what's going on, and he can do whatever he wants. And he's all powerful. That undermines all of the heretical beliefs. Says the Ramban, Hashem does not want to do open miracles forever and ever. That's not what the goal of the world is. He created a perfect system, and the world is supposed to be Olam Kamin Hago Noheg. But we have to always remember that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in charge. And even through what we call Teva, the natural world, we have to constantly remember Hashem is in charge, and therefore remember the miraculous time. When it's obvious that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in charge, the most miraculous time period in the history of the world was Yitzias Mitzrayim, with the 10 Makos, with Kriyas Yamsuf. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us so many mitzvahs, Zecher Yitzias Mitzrayim, so we remember HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in charge. And then the Ramban has, in his very strong language on the next page, on line 8, through remembering the open miracles, we remember and recognize the hidden miracles. Shehem Yisoda Torah Kula, which is the basis of all the Torah. And look at this lashon. She'ein la'adam chelik b'Torahs Moshe Rabbeinu. A person doesn't have a chelik in Torahs Moshe at Shenamin until he believes b'chol dvareinu mekreinu shekulam nisim. Ein b'hem teva min hago shalom. There's no such thing as teva, says the Ramban. Or as I like to say it, Mother Nature has a father. And the Ramban says that why do we have so many mitzvahs to remember the miraculous? So we don't forget. We don't forget HaKadosh Baruch Hu is constantly in charge of our life. When we wake up in the morning and we breathe and we could walk and we go to the bathroom without a problem. And there are so many miracles. But that's the message of Zeich Leitzias Mitzrayim. So Rabosai, if you think about it, we have our first pair. If Zechiras Amalek is about remembering the nation that was the anti-Hashgacha, and we defeated them, that's exactly what Zechiras Mitzrayim is about. It's about remembering Hashgacha. It's about remembering HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in charge in every facet of our life. The first two Zechiras. Let's move on to number 3. Ma'amad Har Sinai, next week's parsha. So again, any of this year is good to say all these parshias, but look, it's Ma'amad Har Sinai, so you can say it any day of the year. It's Yitzias Mitzrayim, look, it's the Sheis Zechiras, right? Any day of the year you can talk about this because the Shlach Kadosh says you should say them every day. So really, anytime you need a Dvar Torah, any part of the shir is fair game. Okay, so what are we supposed to remember about Kabbalas HaTorah? Right, Hashem gave us the Torah. What are we supposed to think about? There's an amazing thought by the Beis HaLevi. Beis HaLevi asks, how did Nasa v'Nishma work? I don't understand halachically. Well, Hashem will do it because there's a Rambam. If I go over to you and I say, I hereby obligate myself to pay you whatever you say. The halacha is, I owe you nothing. You can't obligate yourself to a davar she'eino katzav, something that's not set and definite. I can say, I hereby obligate myself to pay you, $5 million. But I can't say I'll obligate you with anything because that's not definite. Davar she'eino katzav. So ask the Beis HaLevi, how did Nasa v'Nishma work? Hashem will do it, whatever you say, we obligate ourselves. Nasa v'Nishma. But that kind of obligation doesn't work. It has to be finite. It has to be known what exactly is what's on the table. You can't obligate yourself to nothing. Hodas bal din kamei edim dummy only works if it's definite, it's finite, and you know what you're getting yourself into. So how did Nasa v'Nishma work? That's the Beis HaLevi's question in source number 13. Imkein Yisrael shekiblu al atzmam achiv kodem sheidu aprantim. They were makabel before they knew the details. L'chora heichal alem achiv. How'd it work? How'd it work? Says the Beis HaLevi, we're missing a nekuda. We're missing an idea of what Kabbalas HaTorah was and what Nasa v'Nishma was. A person can't obligate themselves to like something that's not set. But you know what a person can do? A person could agree to be an Eved. I accept to be your Eved. You are my master, and I am your servant. I could create that context. I could create that relationship. That's step 1. Once I accept that, then Memela, step 2, I have to do whatever you say because you're my Adon and I'm your Eved. So it's 2 steps that you could do. And says the Beis HaLevi, that's what happened at Kabbalas HaTorah. We didn't say, Hashem, I'll do whatever you say. That's not what happened. We said, I accept to be your Eved. That was Nasa v'Nishma. I accept to be your Memela. Once that happens, then second step, I have to do everything that you tell me to do. But that's only step 2. Even though I don't understand it, and I don't know what I'm getting myself into, I can't accept. That was Nasa v'Nishma. It's even meduyik. Again, we don't usually talk about unculuses, but nishma. How do you translate that word? We will do and we will usually hear. But even in English, hear has 2 meanings. Hear could be you heard something, but sometimes you're talking with somebody and that's arguing with you, and then finally they convince you. And what do you say? Oh, now I hear it. Now I hear it. That doesn't mean you heard it 10 minutes ago. You understand and accept it. Uncle says, Anasa v'Nishma, nikabel. They accepted. They accepted to be, source 15, they accepted to be Avdei Hashem. So what's the message of Ma'amad Har Sinai? The Zechir's Ma'amad Har Sinai, to remember that we accepted to be Avdei Hashem, even though we didn't understand what we were getting ourselves into. We're Avdei Hashem. That's it. What's its pair? So if you look, I gave you the psukim again. This is what Art Scroll and most Sidurim call the remembering Chet Egel. Right? Remember Chet Egel. What was the pasuk? Right? Remember how you angered God in the desert. There's a problem, though, says Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky in source number 16. Right? Source 16, you have the pasuk there. Remember how you anchored Hashem in the desert. But look at the very next pasuk. Pasuk Ches. Uvechorev hiksatem as Hashem. And you also anchor God in Chorev. 1 second. Chorev, that's Egel. That's Egel. Bechorev hiksatem. The previous pasuk must not be Egel then. Right? Pasuk Ches is Egel. That's where we anchored Hashem with Egel. So the previous pasuk has to be talking about something earlier. Uvechorev means a separate event. So Rabbi Yaakov says that Zechira is about some other event before Chet Egel. 1 second. When did we anger God before Chet Egel? We didn't have such a long Jewish history before Chet Egel. When did we anger God? Suggests Rabbi Yaakov there's only one event recorded in the Torah. That's in this week's parsha. And that's Mara. Remember, right after Kriyas Yamsuf, you can't even finish the Aliyah and feel good about ourselves, right? We have Kriyas Yamsuf, and then all of a sudden we go, and there's bitter water, and there's bitter trees. We're like, what's going on? We want to go back to Mitzrayim. We're gonna die of thirst. And what does Hashem do? He takes the tree, bitter, and he makes it sweet. Says Rabbi Yaakov, that's the Zachar. We have to remember the event of Mara. What's so defining about that event? What are we supposed to remember about that event? Says Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky in source 18. Share Iker Alimut on the left side. Iker Alimut Shal Maisa B'Maraha. You know what the Iker was? Laharos Lanu, to teach us that Hashem's relationship with us is not based on logic. It's not based on what we can understand. Bitter water, bitter trees, we're all going to die. No, Hashem's going to make it sweet. Hashem does not take care of us, and our commitment to him is not based on logic. Right? We're surrounded here in the land of Israel by 2 million people, a billion people that want to kill us. And yet, Kadosh Baruch Hu has our back and our front. And because it's not based on logic. He quotes the Gemara Tainus, and just like Hashem says, oil should light, vinegar will light. So the message of Mara is that our relationship with the HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not based on our understanding, based on logic, based on what we think and determine should make sense. We have our second pair. What did we say about Nasav and Ishma? Har Sinai, we're committing to HaKadosh Baruch Hu even though we don't understand, we don't know what we're getting ourselves into. We'll do it, we trust you. That's 6 weeks after Mara. We must have gotten the message. In Mara, we said everything has to make sense, everything has to fit. And what did Hashem tell us? No. That's not our relationship. That's not your commitment to me. That's not how I take care of you. 6 weeks later, we said Nasav and Ishma. We got the message. We realized that our relationship and our commitment to HaKadosh Baruch Hu was not based on what we understand. So we have our first two pairs. We have Zechiras Yetzias Mitzrayim and Amalek, which is all about Hashgachas Hashem. We have Nasav and Ishma, Maimed Har Sinai, and Mara, according to Rabbi Yaakov, which is about Kadosh Baruch Hu's, our commitment to him is not based on what we understand. Finally, the third pair. What do these have to do with each other? We have Zechiras Maisa Miriam and Zechiras Shabbos. So maybe something as follows. Right? What do we have to think about when Miriam, she spoke Lashon Hara about Moshe Rabbeinu. Lashon Hara is a terrible Avera, and the Gemara says we all fall prey every single day a little bit. But what's the root? What are we supposed to think about? Zechiras Lashon Hara says another Onkelos. Right? We know when Hashem created man, what does the pasuk say in Bereshis? Vayhi ha'adam lenefesh chaya. Man was a live spirit. And I'm going out on a limb here, if there was a famous Onkelos, this would be it. Right? What does Onkelos say on a live spirit? Ruach mimalala, a talking spirit. Man is defined as a talker. Man is defined, that's what makes us unique amongst all creations. Right? We are the ones that are medaber. Remember the Kuzari, the 4 levels of being. The bottom level, the domain, the dirt and the rocks. Someach is above that, the growers. Chai, animal kingdom. Medaber. Medaber is on top. We are the speakers. That's what defines us. They quote B'Shem Rav Chaim Ozer that he said there's a 5th one on top. Rav Chaim Brisker. Right, okay. But we had the Kuzari only had 4. Domain, Someach, Chai, Medaber. But we are Medabrim. That's what makes us unique. There's even a beautiful thought. I think we might have spoken about this in the past. In Elohe Moadai, source 22, he speaks about why is it that when Bilam was going to curse the Jews, Hashem performed this amazing miracle of a talking aton, a talking donkey. Right? Why did Hashem just make a baskol? Bilam, don't do it. Right? Just scream out from heaven to create a whole miracle and make it into Pirkei Avos of the talking animal. It's just baskol. Tzeilah HaMoadai says, no. You know what the message that Bilam was being given? Bilam, you're going to curse the Jews. You're going to use your koach hadibur for negative. You're no better than a talking animal. You're no better than me. Because what makes me and you different is that you have the power of speech. And if you're using that to curse the Jews, then you're no better than me. That's the power. That was why Hashem Dafka did that nace. In other words, what's the Zechira of Miriam? To remember our chosenness as a human being. Remember, we are the people, we are the Nivra in the entire world that is different. We're the only ones that have this power of speech, and Lashon Hara is negating and undermining that, and that's the Zechira of Miriam. To remember that we are chosen amongst all creations. Now let's go to Shabbos, the only one left. And what's the Zechira Shabbos? The Gemara tells us in two places. I gave it to you in Beitza Tezayin, source 23. Shabbos is called a matana, a gift from Hashem. I have a great gift for Shabbos Shema. Shabbos is a gift. The question that bothers many Mefarshim is that, why is only Shabbos called a gift? I think Sukkot is a gift. Sukkot is great. Pesach isn't a gift. Shavuos, why is only Shabbos a gift? Says the Aruch HaShulchan, we say it every Shabbos morning, we just don't focus on it. If I would ask you, does it make sense that the Egyptians don't celebrate Pesach? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Does it make sense that the Greeks don't celebrate Hanukkah or the Japanese don't celebrate Shavuos? Yeah, because all the holidays are historical events that happened to our ancestors. So therefore, it makes sense that all of these holidays are only celebrated by those descendants. But Shabbos is Zecher L'maisa Brachos. So Shabbos L'chora, the whole world should have to keep Shabbos. The whole world, everybody has to believe in God. Everybody should have to keep Shabbos. And yet, what do we find? Not only are non-Jews, they don't have to keep Shabbos, they're not allowed to keep Shabbos. Only the Jews. That's why Shabbos is a Matana Tova. Because it's the only one that could have been given to others and wasn't. So it reflects HaKadosh Baruch Hu's love for us. And that's what the Aruch HaShulchan says. We say every Shabbos morning. And we don't have a parallel line in the Yontif davening. V'lo nesato legoyei ha'aratzos. V'lo henchalto le'ovdei fesilim. Thank you for not giving this to the other nations. Because it's the only one that could have been given to the other nations. Shabbos then represents our chosenness and our love that we have for HaKadosh Baruch Hu and HaKadosh Baruch Hu has for us. So if you think about these two last Zechiros, Zechiras Miriam is about recognizing our chosenness as human beings, and Shabbos is recognizing our chosenness as Jews. And we have to recognize, and that's our final pair. So if you think we started off with 6 Sheish Zechiros, we have gotten it down to 3. Right? Yetzias Mitzrayim and Amalek about Hashgachas Hashem, and Maimed Har Sinai and Maisa Mara about our commitment to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not based on logic, what we understand. And finally, third, our chosenness as people and as Jews. And maybe we could go now from 3 to 1, 6 to 3 to 1, because all 3 of these are really a package. The first 2 are about what Hashem does for us, Hashgachas Hashem. The second 2 are about our commitment to Him. We're committed no matter what, Nasa B'nishma. And the third pair is about the beautiful relationship that we have with our God, with our Creator, and with our King. As we described so beautifully in the last source, on Yom Kippur, all the different graphic imagery Anu vanecha v'ata avinu, anu avadecha v'ata adonenu. Right? We are your vineyard. You are our vineyard guard. Because that's the beautiful relationship we have. So if you think about these 6 zechiros, they're really one message. They highlight and they emphasize and they reflect the beautiful relationship between us, what Hashem does for us, what we do for Him, kaviyachol, and what the relationship means for all of us each and every day. So these are the Shei Zechiros. There are, as I said, 4 more for Sfardim. They have Zechiras Yerushalayim, Zechiras Bilam and Balak. Interesting. There's a couple of other ones, but maybe that'll be for another time. Okay, Yashakach. Baruch Hashem, the technology stayed with us, and we were able to persevere and get through it.
Thank you.
Hi, Rabbi.